The battlefield was quiet. Smoke drifted across broken stones. Fires burned low, painting the sky in orange light. Bodies lay scattered, alien and human, friend and enemy. The war had ended here, but not in peace. It had ended in silence. Deep in the ruins, something still breathed. She was once the ruler of 1,000 worlds, the alien queen. Now she lay hidden in the shadows, her body bleeding from many wounds. Her court had fled. Her soldiers were dead. Her crown meant nothing in this place. She did not cry. She did not beg. She only breathed, slow, silent, waiting. Then footsteps. A lone human soldier walked through the ruins. His boots crunched on broken metal. His weapon was raised, scanning the battlefield for survivors. His armor was dented, his face covered in dust. He looked tired, but his eyes were sharp. He thought he was alone. He was wrong. The queen felt his presence before she saw him. Her heart beat faster. Every muscle in her body wanted to move, to strike, to tear him apart. But she was too weak. Her claws, once sharp enough to rip through steel, now trembled. Her vision blurred. The human stopped. He felt it too, the sense of being watched. Slowly he turned his head. His eyes searched the shadows. Then he saw her. Their eyes met. The queen's golden eyes burned, even in her weakness. The human froze. He had killed many of her kind before. He knew this was the enemy, the most dangerous of them all. Yet something in her eyes held him. Not just rage, not just pride, something else. Pain. She was bleeding, dying, vulnerable. The human should have raised his weapon. One shot and it would be over. One shot and the war would have one less monster. That was what his orders said. That was what his people wanted. But he did not fire. He stepped closer. The queen watched him with hate and with something like confusion. Why did he not finish her? Why did he not strike, as her enemies always did? The human knelt. His fingers brushed the edge of her blood on the stone. Dark, thick, alien. He looked at it for a long time, then at her. "You're still alive," he whispered. The queen's breathing grew faster. She wanted to speak, to curse him in her own language. But her throat was dry, her words trapped. She could only glare, her chest rising and falling with sharp breaths. The human reached out. Slowly, carefully, as if he wanted to help her. Her body shook, her claws scraped the ground. For a moment she almost let him. Almost. But then her rage broke through the silence. Her lips pulled back. Her sharp teeth shone in the dim light. A low growl rumbled in her chest, deep and dangerous. And then, she snarled. The sound cut through the ruins like thunder. It was not the roar of a beast. It was the warning of a queen who refused to die quietly, a queen who would not let her enemy's hand touch her. The human jerked back, weapon raised. Again, his breath caught in his throat. For a second he saw her not as a dying creature, but as the ruler she once was. The queen's snarl echoed, then faded into silence again. Her chest heaved, blood dripped from her wounds, but her eyes stayed locked on him. The human lowered his weapon slowly. His hands trembled. He did not understand why, but he could not kill her. Not yet. He stepped back, torn between fear and something else he could not name. The queen's eyes followed him. She knew this human was different, dangerous in a way she had not expected, because he hesitated, because he cared. In the stillness, both understood one thing. This meeting was not the end. It was the beginning. The queen bled in silence. The human stood in doubt. And in that broken battlefield, between predator and prey, a new story was born. A story of choices. A story of trust and betrayal. A story that would decide the fate of more than just a queen or a soldier. It would decide the fate of two worlds. The night was colder than death. The human soldier stood among the ruins, his weapon still in his hands. The alien queen's snarl still echoed in his ears. He could not forget it. It was not the sound of a beast, it was the sound of a ruler who refused to die. He stepped back, his breath sharp. He thought of leaving her, letting her bleed until morning. That would be simple. That would be safe. But something held him there. Some strange pull in her burning golden eyes. The queen watched him. She did not beg, she did not speak. She simply stared. Even broken, even covered in blood, her gaze was sharp enough to cut him open. And then she heard it. A faint scrape. Stone against stone. Slow, careful, wrong. Her head turned slightly. The human noticed it too. His training told him the battlefield was empty. His mind whispered otherwise. He tightened his grip on the weapon. The silence stretched, heavy as chains. Then came another sound. A low hiss, soft, almost human, but not. The queen's body tensed. Even weak, she knew that sound. Her enemies had not left her to die. Something else hunted here. The human scanned the shadows. Who's there? His voice shook the air. No answer came. Only silence. The queen's claws scraped the ground as she shifted. Her body trembled. With pain, but her instincts screamed louder. She snarled again, not at the human this time, but at the darkness itself. The soldier frowned. His eyes darted across the ruins. He expected more aliens. Her kind, maybe. He expected soldiers from his army. But when the sound came again, closer this time, he understood it was neither. Something moved fast. Too fast. The human raised his rifle, aiming into the black. The firelight flickered, shadows dancing like ghosts. He saw nothing. Yet his skin crawled, every nerve warning him. The queen let out a sharp hiss. Her voice, though weak, was clear. A warning. Stay ready. The human froze. She had spoken. In his language. How? He began, but the words died in his throat as something lunged. A shape burst from the shadows, all claws and teeth. It was not alien, not human, something in between. Its skin shimmered like metal, its eyes glowed, red. The soldier fired. The blast lit the ruins, smoke curling through the night. The creature screamed, but it did not fall. It moved too fast, circling them both. What is that? He shouted. The queen coughed, blood staining her lips. Your kind made it. His stomach turned cold. Human-made? His army's creation? He fired again, but the bullets only slowed it. The creature leapt. The soldier dove, rolling across. Stone, his weapon nearly slipping from his hands. The thing crashed where he had stood, claws gouging the ground. The queen tried to rise, her body shaking with the effort. She bared her teeth, but her legs buckled. She was too weak to fight. The human knew then, if he left her, she would die. Not from her wounds, but torn apart by this predator. His weapon hummed as he reloaded. His eyes locked on the glowing red gaze circling him. The beast hissed again, hungry, patient. He looked at the queen. She met his gaze. For a moment he saw something strange in her eyes, not hate, not pride, a spark of trust. Together, she whispered. The word struck him harder than any bullet. He nodded once. The beast lunged again. The soldier fired, aiming for the eyes. The blast caught one, burning it red to black. The creature screamed and twisted. The queen, with the last of her strength, slashed out as it passed her. Her claws tore into its side, sparks flying where flesh met metal. The thing stumbled, shrieking. The soldier charged forward, slamming his rifle butt into its head again and again until it crashed against a wall. The beast writhed, then went still. For a long moment, only their breaths filled the night. The queen sagged back against the stone, her chest heaving. The soldier lowered his weapon slowly, staring at the broken body. That wasn't alien, he said quietly. That was ours. The queen closed her eyes, pain twisting her face. Your people made weapons to hunt mine, beasts without fear, beasts without mercy. The soldier swallowed hard. If his own side created monsters like this, what else were they hiding? He looked back at her. She was dying, yes. But she had warned him. She had fought beside him. For the first time he saw her not just as an enemy, but as something more. The firelight flickered on her face. The ruins seemed to breathe with silence again. But the silence felt different now. Not empty, heavy, full of questions. The soldier tightened his grip on his weapon. He knew now he could not leave her. Not yet. Because something worse than war had been born in the dark, and she was the only one who knew how to stop it. The ruins were quiet again. The soldier stood with his weapon still warm, smoke rising from its barrel. At his feet, the strange predator lay broken, half flesh, half machine. Its red eyes had gone dark. Beside him, the alien queen leaned against the stone wall, her breath heavy. Blood stained her claws, her golden eyes glowing dim but sharp. She looked at him as if she were measuring his soul. For a long moment they only stared at each other. Human and alien, enemies by birth, survivors by chance. Then, the sound of engines. The soldier stiffened. He knew that sound too well. Dropships, his own army. The queen's eyes narrowed. "Your people," she whispered, her voice rough with pain. The soldier cursed under his breath. He had hoped for silence, hoped to disappear into the night. But his people had found him. Searchlights cut through the ruins. Dust swirled. Voices shouted orders. The soldier's chest tightened. He should feel relief. His side had come. Rescue had arrived. But instead a cold weight pressed on his heart. Because he knew why they were here. They weren't coming to save him. They were coming to finish her. The queen felt it too. She struggled to rise, her claws scraping the ground. Her body was weak, but her spirit burned. She would not be taken alive. The soldier's comrades spread out, weapons drawn. He heard them call his name. He saw their faces through the lights. Familiar, brothers in arms, men he had trusted with his life. "Target sighted," one shouted, pointing at the queen. "Orders are clear. Kill her." The soldier froze. His fingers twitched on his weapon. He had killed many aliens before. It was easy when orders were simple. But now his eyes went back to her. The queen, broken and bleeding, stood tall in the shadows. She did not plead. She did not lower her head. Even dying, she looked like a ruler. One of the soldiers stepped forward. "Stand back," he told him. "We'll take the shot." The soldier's chest tightened. He felt two worlds pulling him apart. One voice whispered duty, another whispered honor. His people wanted her dead. But his heart wanted her alive. He remembered the way she had snarled, refusing to die in silence. He remembered her warning when the predator came. He remembered fighting beside her, her claws and his bullets striking the same enemy. Enemies don't do that. Enemies don't trust even for a breath. Yet she had. The soldier's weapon was still in his hands. His finger rested on the trigger. His squad waited, trusting him to step aside. He did not move. "Soldier," the commander barked, "step back. That's an order." The words cut like knives. He had obeyed orders his whole life. He had killed for them, bled for them. But now he saw the truth. His people were not rescuers. They were executioners. The queen's golden eyes met his. No words passed between them. She already knew his choice before he did. The commander raised his weapon. The others followed. The queen straightened, ready to die standing. The soldier's heart pounded. His hands trembled. His finger moved. And then he fired. The blast echoed across the ruins. But the shot did not strike the queen. It struck his own squad. The commander fell, shock painted across his face. Chaos exploded as the others shouted, firing wildly. Dust filled the air, lights swinging, bullets tearing stone. The queen snarled, low and savage, her claws flashing in the chaos. Even weak, she struck at those who came too close. The soldier fired again, his rifle kicking against his shoulder. He did not think, he did not hesitate. He was no longer their soldier. He was something else now. One by one, his comrades fell. Some screamed, some cursed his name. But he did not stop. He fought like the ruins themselves had given him rage. When silence returned, it was heavy with blood. Smoke rose from broken walls. Bodies lay still. The soldier stood, chest heaving, rifle empty. His ears rang from the blasts. His hands shook. He had killed his own. The queen stared at him, her golden eyes unreadable. She stepped closer, blood dripping from her wounds, her shadow long against the firelight. "You chose," she whispered. The words cut deeper than any blade. He had chosen. He could never go back. His people would hunt him now, just as they hunted her. The soldier lowered his rifle. His voice cracked. "I don't know why." The queen tilted her head. For the first time, her lips curved, not into a snarl, but into something close to a smile. "Because you are not like them," she said. The soldier swallowed hard. He looked at the bodies of men he had once called brothers. The weight of his choice pressed on him like stone. But when he looked at her, he knew. There was no turning back. They were enemies no more. They were something worse. They were allies. The night sky burned red from distant fires. The ruins were quiet now, too quiet. The soldier and the alien queen stood together, enemies no longer, but not yet friends. Between them lay the bodies of his squad, men he had once trusted with his life. The soldier's hands trembled. His weapon felt heavy. He had crossed a line. He had killed his own people. There was no turning back. The queen's golden eyes studied him, calm but sharp. She was bleeding, her strength fading fast, yet she stood tall, as if her body refused to bend. "You chose death for them," she whispered. "You chose exile for yourself." The soldier swallowed hard. "I chose you." Before the queen could answer, the night split with the roar of engines. More dropships, more soldiers. The queen stiffened. Her claws flexed. The soldier's stomach dropped. He had fought 10 men and survived, but now came an army. Floodlights pierced the ruins. Voices shouted. Armored soldiers poured in, their boots pounding like drums of war. "Drop your weapon," a commander barked. "Hands on your head." The soldier raised his rifle halfway, but his heart pounded. He could not win this fight, not against so many. He glanced at the queen. Her body swayed, too weak to stand much longer. The soldiers surrounded. Them rifles aimed, safety catches off. "On the ground," the commander shouted again. The soldier clenched his jaw. He thought of firing anyway, thought of dying here beside her. But the queen placed one clawed hand on his arm. Her touch was light, but her eyes spoke volumes. "Not yet." Slowly, the soldier lowered his weapon and let it fall to the ground. His knees hit the dirt. The queen did the same, her pride unbroken even as chains snapped around her wrists. Iron cuffs bit into her flesh. Human soldiers dragged her forward. Even wounded, even bound, she did not cry out. She walked like a queen to execution. The soldier's arms were bound too. He was shoved hard to the ground, his face pressed into the dirt. Boots kicked him when he struggled. He tasted blood in his mouth. "Traitor," one soldier spat. "You'll hang for this." The soldier said nothing. His eyes found the queen's. Even chained, even surrounded, her gaze burned with fire. She would not beg for mercy. She would not bow to men. They were thrown into the dropship like cargo. The engines roared, lifting them into the night sky. The battlefield shrank below, swallowed by smoke and flame. The soldier sat in silence, his wrists bleeding from the cuffs. Across from him, the queen sat tall despite her wounds. Her golden eyes stayed locked on the soldiers around them. She looked like a predator waiting for the cage to break. Hours passed. The ship landed at a military outpost, a cold fortress of steel and concrete. The prisoners were dragged out, shoved into separate cells. The soldier heard the queen's chains scrape against the floor, but no cry of pain came from her. In his own cell? The soldier sat on the cold floor, his thoughts heavy. He had killed his own. He had chosen her, and now he was a prisoner. Through the walls he heard it. Her voice, not words, but a low growl as they tortured her. Electricity cracked, metal struck flesh. Still she did not scream. He pressed his fists against the wall, rage boiling inside him. He wanted to break free, to tear through the doors, to stand at her side. But the chains were strong. The guards were many. Hours stretched into days. They starved her. They beat her. Yet every time they dragged her back to her cell, she still stood tall, her golden eyes still burning. The soldier watched through the bars as they threw her down. She bled, but she never begged. Her silence cut deeper than screams ever could. One night, when the guards were gone, the soldier whispered through the bars, "Why don't you cry out? Why don't you fight them?" Her golden eyes met his through the dark. Her voice was low, broken but steady. "Because I am still queen." The words struck him like a blade. Even chained, even dying, she was stronger than any of them, stronger than him. His heart pounded. He could not let her die here. He could not watch her fade in silence. That night, as the moonlight cut through the bars, the soldier made a choice. He would escape, and he would take her with him. But before he could speak his plan, before he could whisper hope through the bars, the queen leaned closer. Her lips barely moved, but her words carried like thunder. "Run," she whispered. The soldier froze. Did she mean for him to save himself? Did she mean to stay behind to die in silence? No. Her eyes told him the truth. She wanted him to run with her, to break the chains, to turn the prison into ashes. The soldier pressed his hands against the bars, his eyes burning with fire. For the first time since his betrayal, he felt alive again. The queen had spoken, and he would obey. The prison was built from steel and stone. Its walls hummed with power, its gates locked with heavy chains. Few ever escaped. None survived. But the human soldier had made his choice. He would not die behind bars, and he would not let the alien, queen, die in silence. Night fell. The fortress quieted. Guards yawned at their posts, believing their prisoners broken. But in the shadows, a plan was born. The soldier sat on the cold floor of his cell. His wrists ached from the cuffs. His eyes stayed on the bars, sharp and hungry. He listened. Every footstep, every key turning, every guard's laugh, he memorized it all. Across the hall, the queen sat in her cage. Blood streaked her arms, her face pale from pain. Yet her golden eyes still glowed like fire in the dark. She watched him, and when their gazes met, she gave the smallest nod. Tonight. The soldier's heart pounded. When the guards passed, he moved. Slowly, quietly. The chain on his wrists had loosened from days of struggle. He pulled, skin tearing, blood dripping. Pain seared his arms, but the lock gave way. The cuffs fell silent to the ground. He was free. The soldier crawled to the bars. He slid a piece of broken stone between the lock and twisted. Sparks jumped. Metal groaned. At last the bar snapped loose. He slipped through like a shadow. The hall stretched before him, torches burning low. He crept to the queen's cell. She rose slowly, her body trembling with weakness, but her eyes sharp with expectation. "Quiet," he whispered. She bared her teeth in a faint smile. "Do it." He worked the lock, sweat dripping down his face. For a moment it seemed impossible. The lock refused. The guards' voices echoed nearby. His chest tightened. If they were caught now, it would all end. Then click. The door swung open. The queen stepped out, her chains dragging. She swayed, almost falling, but the soldier caught her. Her skin burned with fever, her wounds deep. Yet when her eyes met his, there was only pride. "Go," she whispered. Together they slipped into the shadows. The halls twisted like a maze. Guards patrolled with rifles, their boots echoing. The soldier held her close, guiding her steps, moving when the torches flared, stopping when voices drew near. Once a soldier turned the corner. The human soldier struck fast, his arm wrapping around the man's throat, silencing him before he could shout. The body dropped. The queen looked at him with surprise but said nothing. They reached the courtyard. Beyond the high walls, the alien wilderness stretched, dark, endless, alive with strange sounds. Freedom lay on the other side, but the gates were sealed. The queen's claws dug into his arm. Wait, her eyes turned to the shadows. There, hidden beneath broken stone, lay an old passage, rusted, forgotten. Her people had once known this place. The soldier dragged the heavy cover aside. A foul smell rushed out, damp earth and decay. A tunnel. He helped her inside, then followed, pulling the cover back. Darkness swallowed them whole. The tunnel was narrow, dripping with water. Their footsteps splashed in the mud. Rats scurried. The air pressed heavy, but still they moved. Behind them alarm bells rang. Guards shouted. Sirens blared. They had been discovered. The soldier's heart pounded as they pushed forward. The queen stumbled, her body shaking, but she refused to stop. At last, light appeared ahead. A faint glow of moonlight. The exit. But as they neared it, the tunnel shook. A blast rocked the walls. Dust rained down. Soldiers had found the tunnel's end. Voices shouted above. Boots thundered. The queen growled, her claws sparking against the stone. The soldier's rifle was gone, but his hands clenched into fists. He would fight, even if it meant dying here. The tunnel burst open. Soldiers dropped inside, rifles flashing. The soldier lunged, grabbing the first man and slamming him into the wall. He twisted, wrenching the rifle free, firing before the others could aim. Bullets tore through the dark. Sparks lit the walls. The queen, weak but furious, leapt forward, her claws slashing. She tore through armor, blood spraying the mud. They fought side by side, human and queen, predator and prey turned allies. The tunnel echoed with gunfire, screams, and the roar of a dying monarch refusing to yield. When silence fell, the ground was soaked in blood. The soldier stood panting, his rifle empty. Beside him the queen swayed, her wounds deep, her body trembling. He caught her before she fell. The tunnel exit lay open. The moonlight shone like silver. Beyond it stretched the alien wilderness, filled with shadows and unknown dangers. But it was freedom. The soldier carried her into the night. The cool wind brushed his face, carrying the scent of strange flowers and burning metal. The stars above looked brighter than ever. The queen's head rested against his shoulder. Her voice was faint, a whisper carried on the wind. You could have left me. The soldier's jaw tightened. I couldn't. Her golden eyes met his once more. For the first time there was no hate in them. Only something deeper, something dangerous. Trust. The night swallowed them both. The prison burned behind them. Ahead lay only wilderness, predators, and war. But, together, they had escaped, and the galaxy would never be the same. The wilderness stretched endlessly, a maze of black trees and glowing vines. Strange cries echoed in the night, the calls of predators that belonged to no human world. The soldier moved carefully, one arm carrying the alien queen. Her body was weak, her breaths shallow, but her golden eyes still burned with fire. Every step was harder than the last. The queen's blood stained his armor, her weight heavy, yet he refused to let her fall. You should leave me, she whispered, her voice thin as wind. He shook his head. Not a chance. The forest stirred around them. Shadows shifted between the trees. The soldier tightened his grip on his rifle, scanning the darkness. He knew they were being hunted. By humans. By beasts. By both. The queen felt it too. Her claws flexed weakly against his shoulder. She lifted her head, staring at the shadows with narrowed eyes. They will not stop, she said. Your people fear me too much. They'll have to. Kill me first, he answered. The queen's lips curled, not in a snarl this time, but in something close to respect. Hours passed. They reached the ruins of an ancient structure, half swallowed by the jungle. The stone walls glowed faintly, carved, with symbols of her people. The queen stirred. "Here," she whispered. "This place belongs to my kind." The soldier laid her down gently against the stone. She touched the carvings with her claws, her face pale but her eyes fierce. "There is power here," she said. "A weapon left long ago." Before he could ask more, the forest erupted with noise. Engines roared, voices shouted, human soldiers poured from the shadows, rifles raised, lights cutting through the night. The soldier's chest tightened. He was outnumbered, trapped. The queen pushed herself upright, though her body trembled. Her golden eyes blazed brighter than the torches. "This is where it ends," she whispered. The soldier raised his rifle, his jaw clenched. "Then we end it together." The first wave of soldiers charged. Gunfire exploded, echoing through the ruins. The soldier fired back, bullets ripping through armor. He moved fast, ducking behind broken walls, his weapon flashing. In the dark, the queen, weak but unyielding, dragged herself forward. Her claws carved into the stone symbols. The ruins began to glow, light pulsing beneath her hands. Ancient power stirred, answering her blood. The soldier fought harder, but the soldiers kept coming. Blasts tore chunks from the walls. Grenades shook the ground. He fired until his rifle clicked empty. He grabbed a fallen blade and swung it like fury, cutting down anyone who drew close. Through the chaos, the queen's voice rose, a growl that shook the ruins. The symbols burned brighter, light flowing into her. She screamed, blood dripping from her mouth as the ancient weapon awakened. The soldier turned, his eyes widened. The queen stood taller now, her wounds still bleeding, but her body glowing, with energy. In her claws she held a sphere of light, raw power, ancient and alive. But he saw the truth in her eyes. Using it was killing her. "Stop," he shouted. "You'll die," she snarled, her voice deep and fierce. "Better I die as queen than live as prey." With a roar, she hurled the power into the enemy ranks. The ground split open. Light exploded, tearing through soldiers, ripping apart their machines. Screams filled the night as fire consumed the forest. The soldier shielded his eyes from the blast. When it faded, silence fell. Smoke curled through the ruins. Bodies lay scattered, the survivors fleeing in terror. But the queen collapsed. The soldier rushed to her side. He dropped to his knees, lifting her into his arms. Her body was pale, her breathing weak. "You can't leave me," he said, his voice breaking. "Not after everything." Her golden eyes flickered open. She smiled, faintly, blood on her lips. "You fight like one of us," she whispered. He shook his head, tears burning his eyes. "No, I fight because of you." She lifted a claw weakly, pressing it against his chest. "Then take it," she whispered. Light flared. The ancient power flowed from her into him. His body shook as fire filled his veins, his eyes burning with golden light. The queen's voice echoed inside him, soft but strong. "You are my weapon now." The soldier gasped, energy coursing through him. His hands glowed, his body trembled. He felt her strength, her will, her fury inside him. He looked down at her. Her eyes were closing, her breath fading. "No," he whispered. "Stay with me." But she only smiled again. A queen smile. Proud, defiant. "Fight for me," she whispered. "Fight for us." And then she went still. The soldier knelt in silence, the ruins glowing around him, the power of a dead queen burning in his veins. The humans would come again. The war was not over. But now, he was no longer just a soldier. He was the voice of a queen. The last stand had only begun. The ruins were silent, but not at peace. Smoke curled through broken stone. The air still crackled with the last of the queen's power. The human soldier knelt in the dust, her lifeless body in his arms. Her golden eyes had closed, her breath gone. Yet inside him, her voice still echoed. The power she had given him burned like fire in his veins. He was no longer just a man. He was the vessel of a queen. The soldier's fists trembled as the ground shook. More engines thundered across the sky. Dropships descended, their lights sweeping the ruins. Hundreds of soldiers poured out, armored and armed, their rifles aimed at him. The commander's voice boomed through the speakers. "Lay down your arms. Traitor, you cannot win." The soldier rose slowly, laying the queen's body gently on the stone. His chest burned with grief, his heart heavy as steel. But when he lifted his head, his eyes glowed gold. Her power lived in him. Her will snarled in his heart. The soldiers spread out, surrounding him. Rifles clicked, lights flared. He stood alone, against an army, but he was not afraid. He remembered her words. "Fight for me. Fight for us." The commander shouted again. "This is your last chance." The soldier's voice thundered, deep and fierce, carrying both his own rage and the queen's. "Spirit, no, this is yours." He raised his hands. Light burst from his palms, golden and fierce. The ruins shook. The soldiers staggered as the air itself roared with power. The first wave fired. Bullets screamed through the night. But before they struck, the power flared. Around him, burning them to ash mid-air, the soldier charged. His body moved faster than thought, stronger than steel. His fists glowed with golden fire, striking like hammers. Every blow shattered armor, every strike broke stone. Soldiers fell screaming, their weapons useless against him. The queen's voice echoed in his head, guiding his strikes, her snarl, in every swing. He was not alone. He was never alone. The battlefield lit with chaos. Explosions tore through the air. Men shouted. Machines fired missiles, but he turned them to dust with a wave of his hand. Fear spread through the ranks. The soldiers who once hunted him now saw him as something more. Not human, not alien, something greater. The commander stared in horror. "What are you?" The soldier's golden eyes blazed. "I am her voice." He lifted his hand, and light erupted, tearing through the commander's machine. The blast shook the ground, fire rising high into the sky. The soldiers broke. Some fled, some fell to their knees, dropping weapons, their courage gone. None could stand against him. When the last gun fell silent, the soldier stood alone among the ruins. Smoke curled, bodies lay scattered, and the forest burned with golden fire. His chest heaved, his hands still glowed, but his eyes turned back to where she lay, the alien queen. Her body was still, but in the silence, her presence filled him. Her will was inside him now, her snarl echoing with every breath he took. He dropped to his knees beside her. His hands shook as he touched her cold face. "You're not gone," he whispered. "You live in me." The stars above glowed brighter, as if the galaxy itself was listening. The soldier rose again, his body burned with power, his eyes fierce. He lifted his rifle one last time, not as a weapon, but as a symbol. "To those who come," he growled, his voice carrying through. "The night, remember her name. Remember her strength." She bled in silence, but she did not die forgotten. She snarled, and now her voice will never fade. The wind howled through the ruins like her roar. The jungle shook with her presence, and the soldier, once a man of war, once a traitor, now walked as more than himself. He walked as the last weapon of a queen. Her snarl lived in him, and the galaxy would remember. Forever.